Here we go. All right, let's call the meeting to order for January 16th, 2025. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we're going to do roll call. Director Betty McLaren. Director Tasleen Morales did ask to be excused for tonight. Director Ham.
Present.
Director Neal.
Present.
Director Riley. President Amanda here. Lavender Sam, she did ask to be excused for today. Director Harris, Vice President Harris.
Present.
Director Washington.
Present.
All right, that is our roll call. All right, at this time, we will have our committee of the whole committee chairs. So we do have one. Director Morales did submit her legislation report, and it will read as follows. Title IX, last week, a federal judge ruled that the Biden administration's Title IX politics are unconstitutional and exceeds the Education Department's authority. Advocacy groups are working to provide guidance on what that means for policy and execution moving forward. The PA House and Senate convened the 2025-2026 legislation sessions on January 7th. Governor Josh Shapiro will present the 2025-2026 state budget on February 4th. Key points are teacher shortages, bills to incentivize inactive educators to return to teaching, and extend Act 48 deadlines for continuing education for teachers returning to service. Charter schools. Enrollment caps for regional charter schools and state audits for cyber schools, charter cyber schools. Intermediate units, legislation to allow IUs to own and use facilities for instructions. This legislation passed in the House during the previous legislative session with bipartisan support. Then we have HEARTS Act of 2024. Is now law, establishes grants to help schools obtain AEDs, train staff and CPR, and develop cardiac emergency response plans. So legislative sessions updates, the legislature convened and elected officers at their last meeting. Committee assignments are pending, and the next session is scheduled for January 27th. There is a charter school appeal. The Charter School Appeal Board met January 14, 2025 the Charter School Appeal, met, I'm still getting the 2025 and 2024 together. January 14, 2025 to address appeals from Westchester School District and Norristown Area School District. And Cyber Charter Developments, Arizona-based Unbound Academic Institute is proposed to use AI instead of teachers in cyber charter schools. The company has a pending application in Pennsylvania. Advocacy groups have been very vocal in oppositions to this. You can use, and there's a link, so you can look up that information about using AI for cyber charter schools. So charter oversight and audit, the first one since 2016 has been completed, and the report will be expected soon. Thank you, Director Morales, for submitting your report. So at this time, we're going to call our directors to provide their reports as well. We're going to ask Ms. Gathers to present for finance.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just briefly wanted to just go over
I know for this session, we didn't meet last session, so in your package, you have duplicate documents for the treasury report, for the payables that was issued, as well as for the payroll. Very consistent across board, still on level with our projections for payroll, our payables. Even if you look at your top sheet, as far as our revenue is concerned, our tax collected revenue for the city as well as the township and the borough, we're in like 97%. Typically after about January, this starts dropping off, and we anything after February typically goes through our delinquent process, and then we collect through the delinquent agency that we have. Also, our charter schools, and this is for the first 6 months of our fiscal year, the charter school expenses are a little lower than what expected. You would think midway through the year would be about 50% about what we budgeted. And again, that may have been due to the pricing, or the per student cost was not finalized until November because of the legislation. So we're gonna see an uptick in those costs coming over the next couple of months as the charter school adjusts their rates now from last year's rates to these newer rates. We should see a drop in the cyber charter school projections, but there will be an increase in the brick and mortar projections. As far as the, any questions with the packets or finances, the numbers? Any questions?
Where are we overall as far as our budget goes for the district? Are we in the black? Are we in the red?
So based on what I've seen so far, we're pretty much on point. We're not significantly under, we're not significantly over. So I think we're just on point right now. But I expect that some additional expenses are gonna come in than what was budgeted, mostly because of this charter school change in the pricing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As far as the agenda items, did anyone have any question on the upcoming agenda items? I can summarize them if you want. Most of them were
Unfortunately,
grants.
we do not know what those items are.
Okay, well, most of them were grant related items. Well, about 7 of them were grant related items. 4 of them are settlement, special education settlement agreements. And the remaining 3 or 4 are different individuals attending different conferences.
So when you say settlement agreements, can we just take it off the top that that's a deficit?
I mean, there's funds budgeted for settlement agreements in the special education budget, but to answer your question, yes, it is going to be an expense. I think one of them is like I can't. There's limited information I can give, exactly. But when you look at the agenda, I can't attach the agreement because of the student information that's on there. So, but to answer your question, yes, it is significant expense associated with it. So, one in particular.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Next, we'll ask Dr. Wilson to come for Pupil Services.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So there are no agenda items that are from Pupil Services this month. However, in terms of the department as a whole, just a couple items, I guess, just to touch on. Currently, there are several college and career readiness activities that are planned for the month of January and February. So over the course of the next 30 days, there are 9 specific activities that are planned that will be advertised on the website. So they include visits from specific colleges and universities. Some of our students are going to those colleges and universities to visit as well. We have approximately 13 scholarships that students are working on in terms of completing applications for. Students are able to receive that information from a Google Classroom that Mr. Franklin has set up, as well as the 12th grade counselors. In addition, parents receive phone calls with updates regarding college and career readiness activities as reminders. So in addition to the Google Classroom, which goes directly to the students, there's the voicemail that goes out to parents and families, and then also additionally, school administrators post that information in the S'mores, the newsletter that goes out as well. And so I mention that because, of course, this is crunch time in terms of the application process for a lot of our seniors, both in terms of both college admission, but also the scholarship. And so we just want to continue to remind families to take advantage of that information as it comes out. He does work directly with them. We also have some volunteers who come in as well. But, we want to make sure that our students do not leave any money on the table that's available to them, because again, many of them have worked hard to get to this point, and we want to make sure that they are able to get to the next level. And so that's one of the things that it's currently working on. In addition to that, of course, we have our multi-tier system of school supports, MTSS, which is continuing. So we have shared with school leaders the results of the surveys, both for the district as well as for each individual school. So those were the surveys from teachers, staff, as well as students and parents. So school leaders completed a data analysis protocol, which basically looks at what steps they're going to take to address either areas of concerns, but also to share out some of the highlights, so some of the positives that came out from those surveys as well. Additionally, what we are looking for is launching the survey again in the spring, so we'll have more information about that. So that'll be an opportunity to compare progress over the course of the year. We were pleased overall with the level of participation, but we want to continue to make sure that that is kept up throughout the course of the year. And then I would say, lastly, this is an opportunity to remind parents and families around the importance of immunizations. They will begin to receive letters regarding possible exclusion from school for families that either have not notified us of, for instance, a religious exemption, because of course there are specific exemptions that parents can request. But other than that, we do need immunizations up to date. And so nurses will be sending out that information to families over the course of the next couple weeks. And additionally, we are starting the registration process for next school year. So that information will be available on the website and social media platforms. We are hoping to have as many families as possible register early, whether it's from pre-K to K or if it's students who are coming into 9th grade. We want to just make sure that we have appropriate programming for our students. And so there'll be a lot of attention around those. So please stay tuned for that information. Were there any questions about any of those items? Yes.
May not directly touch on what you just mentioned, but I just have a question as a citizen. For the last several years, we've been hearing about how our students are testing below average, to put it mildly, but we're still sending students to college. Say over the past 3 years, what kind of results are we getting from the students that we're sending away? Are they being successful? Are there remedial programs in the colleges? How do we bridge that gap if our students leave here behind?
So I definitely cannot speak intelligently about that, from a district standpoint, so I don't want to misspeak regarding that. What I can say regarding a small segment of our student population would be specifically our students with disabilities. One of our responsibilities over the past couple of years was a post-secondary transition survey that we completed with those families as an opportunity to see how they were performing in college or if they started a career. And many of our students either went directly into a career or were taking classes either at a community or four-year university. And there's not hard data we were able to collect in terms of from the universities, but based upon conversation with the families and completing the surveys, they indicated that they were doing well as a result of their experiences at Chester Upland School District. And so I think we, if I recall correctly, have actually 100 students that we were responsible as a part of a cohort of reaching out to and contacting and completed that survey. And we completed that, I want to say, last fall, if I'm not mistaken.
Anybody else? No? Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll ask Dr. Lang, special education. Good evening. Good evening.
So for the board agenda, all the items that I have on in regards for special education are confidential settlement agreements, but I would like to give you an update on some things that we are doing in the special ed department. One of the things that we're doing is we started meeting with early intervention families through Elwyn Seeds. Similar to what Dr. Wilson was saying, really trying to get a jump start on making sure that students, our babies that are in pre-K, that receive special ed services through early intervention, are appropriately programmed for when they transition to Chester Upland, and that they come to Chester Upland, that they don't choose another program. So we meet with parents, we meet with the people who are providing their early intervention services, and we tell them about all the great things that are happening at Chester Upland, and then we help them through the process of transitioning into kindergarten. So we had one meeting last week, which was virtual, and then we have an in-person meeting next week. So the special ed team will go out to Elwyn Seeds and go to that meeting and meet some more parents. So some other things that we are doing, we continue our collaboration with Patton for the autism initiative. So currently Patton is working with 8 classrooms at ESA and 7 classrooms at ESA and 1 classroom at Main Street. And we have 2 consultants who are working with the teachers and all of the staff, including paraprofessionals, SSAs, and PCAs. They come into the classroom, they work on professional development, they also do some like coaching and some shadowing and things like that, helping support our teachers. 4 of our staff just came back last week from the Patton Autism Initiative Boot Camp. And so that's an intensive 3-day program where staff learn about intensive teaching or ABA practices. One of the other things we did was the entire district has participated in IDEA training. And so that the last piece, there was 4 sessions, and the last session was the last PD day that we had. Another collaboration that we're doing with Patton is the emotional support program. So we are doing an audit. We're starting at the high school, but we'll go systemic through the school district. But right now we're starting at the high school, and we're taking a look at the program there and working with the emotional support consultant at Patton and figuring out programming and what does it look like to make sure that we have a rigorous program. Any questions?
Thank you. All right. Dr. Parker for academics.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
evening.
Hello. So I do not have any resolutions this month for our academics department, but there are a few things that I'd like to share with you. I can't speak to, I want to go back to the question that you asked Dr. Wilson about I think entrance exams to colleges or academics.
No, just the success or failure of kids that are coming out of the district that we've been telling for years were testing below state norms. So what happens when we send these kids to college? Are they successful?
Right, so do we have that information? So right. we could begin to try to collect that information. Maybe we can talk with Mr. Franklin about his relationships with those colleges that students are being accepted to, and maybe try to get that information. But in terms of what the district is doing, we are really trying to have a comprehensive assessment system in our district to make sure that we are capturing students who are behind and putting into place interventions to catch them up before they leave our district, right? So that we're sending less and less children to college who are behind, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And really trying to pay attention to how many of our students have to take sort of like pre-English classes or English 100 classes before they actually take English 101.
Right.
So in terms of the things that we are doing that we're very excited about, the school spelling bee is coming up very soon. We're very excited about the district spelling bee as well. Students are now preparing for their school bees, and the winners from their school spelling bees will then be invited to the district spelling bee, which is in February, the beginning of February. Also, our pre-K counts program is up for their annual review, which means someone from the state will be coming to audit our programs and to review the programming, observe the classrooms, and provide our district with feedback on how we can support our smallest little students in our district in an effort to make sure that our program is stronger and preparing our students for kindergarten earlier. And we are also, currently our students are engaged in one of those measures that we're talking about. The iReady exam and DIBELS assessments are underway right now in our schools, and our students are taking those exams. We are hoping to be done those exams in the next week, and then our teachers will be going through the data to find out how they can help intervene with those students and make sure that our students are on the right path to improving in their academics. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the, you said that you're working with kids that are pre-K.
Yes, that we have pre-K counts.
What's the youngest age?
3 years old. And so we're very excited about our pre-K counts program. We're trying to make sure that we are working hard in those classrooms to make sure that we have students who are stronger, right, academically, as early as we can get them so that when they come to kindergarten, we can continue making sure that they're stronger. To your point, to make sure that by each year, they're getting stronger so that by the time they are ready for 12th grade, that they go to college without having to take any remedial classes.
Sounds good.
No question.
Yes.
What's the number of students?
In
Pre-K.
pre-K counts,
that we
right
have?
now we have 140.
Okay.
We just added a classroom. I think it was last year, Dr. Sutton. We added a classroom at ESA.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other presentations? Just want to make sure I don't forget anybody.
That's good.
All right.
I think Ms. Hales.
Okay, Ms.
Ms.
Hales.
Hales, okay.
Good afternoon.
Good
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 evening.
evening.
Not a presentation, but I do want to bring to your attention two agenda items.
All right.
Okay.
Ms. Geathers went over the business items under C number 5 and C number 10. So these are two applications that we're submitting. C5 is going to the Environmental Protection Agency, and I'm excited because we're applying for 6 electronic buses that will replace our diesel buses. Now, these will be, we're purchasing them through the rebate, the Clean School Bus Rebate Program for Chester Elite. So we will be leasing the buses to them to transport our students. So not only will we be getting the buses pending the application, but also I may say this wrong, but the chargers that will be housed at Toby Farms. So that's exciting. The second application is for solar power here at Chester High. So you know that we received a 1.6 million grant to restore the roof here. If we get this grant, for the 500,000, we will be putting solar panels on top of this building to generate clean energy. So Chester Upland School District is going green. I just wanted to bring that to your attention because we do need to make the public aware that we're applying for this clean energy.
Question?
Thank you.
The company that you're leasing the buses from, are they responsible for maintenance?
So we are leasing the buses to Chester Elite, which is currently our transportation vendor now. So Chester Elite provides transportation for our students. So we will be leasing the buses to them to transport, yes. And they are. The research on the clean buses, the maintenance is less than the diesel buses, which we're currently using. So they run on clean energy, they charge, so the maintenance is less. But yes, they will be responsible for the maintenance.
Thank you.
You said that's 6?
Six. So in order to apply for this rebate, we had to, with our transportation provider, demonstrate that we will be salvaging 6 buses. So we will be transferring out 6 buses that they currently have in the fleet.
Oh, one more question. We changed the bus companies that we have from year to year. The clean buses will follow them if we don't maintain a contract with this
So
bus
since
company.
Since we will be, that's a good question, that's a very good question. Since we will be leasing the buses to them, if we do select a new vendor, those will be leased to the new vendor.
Makes sense.
But hopefully we'll maintain the relationship. I know that's a RFP process, so I can't speak to that, but ideally, they're working with us to make this application. And so we based it off of the buses that they will be salvaging. Yes.
Yes, so I would say like those details still need to be worked out a little bit more too, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
In terms of like, who keeps the buses?
Right.
I think we need to work out those details.
The Chester Oberlin School District is the applicant, so yes, we do need to work out those. So our solicitor will be working with, should our application be approved, we'll be working out those details.
Thank you.
You said, should it be approved, so when will we know? Is there a timeline?
So EPA provided a timeline, so they're supposed to notify awardees April 2025. And then the negotiation process to actually make the purchase is supposed to be through between May and August. Ideally with being able to use the buses in September.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Director, do you have any comments or questions before we adjourn?
I would just like to let everyone know that the National Honor Society is back in play. It was sort of, I guess, defunct for a bit, but we now have the National Honor Society,
Across district or just individual?
Chester High School and STEM.
Okay.
Yeah, so those 2 schools will be taking advantage, and I am one of the committee persons on the committee, so I'm looking forward to supporting our students in that way with our honor society. That's all I have.
Anyone else?
Ms. Harris?
VP Harris, do you have any comments or questions?
It's a joke. Take care.
No,
Take
no.
care.
You can beat him later. It's okay.
Okay.
All right, I call for a motion to
So moved.
move. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Meet the gentleman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, directors. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, take care.